What's up YouTube, DJ Brock here, PartyEveryNightDJs.com. What I'm doing today is actually going to break it down for you, and I'm going to show you every step you need to complete your facade. And I'm only going to do one piece, so it doesn't matter how many sections you need. You can create your own width, length, height, whatever you want to do. I'm going to show you how to do it the right way. If you check one of my last episodes, I showed you guys how one of mine ended up becoming broken. It's actually still sitting over there. So what I've been doing has been building a complete new facade. As you can see, I have a few pieces done already. It's just primered for now, and then as you can see down here, this is where the Elmer's wood glue comes in handy. If you have any little tiny dents in your wood, etc. But I'm basically just going to walk you through the steps to make this. So I'm going to show you what you need. This is all you really need to do this. As you can see, I'm in my basement. I have no problem cleaning it up. It's not too messy to build this. But what you're going to need is you go to Lowe's and you get aspen wood, aspen board. This is 1 by 3 by 6. So how I usually build my facades, I do about 5 pieces all together. And how it's going to be is it's going to be 2 foot wide by 4 foot high. It's 48 inches, enough to cover any kind of table. So this is the aspen board. You get it at Lowe's. It's $5.39 for the 1 by 3 by 6. I pretty much already got it marked. I just took a measuring tape. I went ahead and came down and marked my 2 foot spot. Because 2 boards here, 2 of these boards is going to make 1 piece, so you're only looking about $10 a piece. Make sure you get a straight edge. That way when you're marking your lines and you actually end up putting it together, this will make sure that you're pretty much, even, squared. And might be a good idea for $3, just in case, go out to Lowe's, get yourself a tiny level. That way when it's complete, not saying your foundation of your house is level enough, but this will help you out. Take my miter box. If you have a saw at home, great, it's going to be quicker on you. It is hard to mark a 45-degree angle without a miter box, so I would recommend at least having this. Mark it, and then you can go on using your saw for your cut. It takes a little while if you're going to do it by hand. It's not like we couldn't all use the workout. So I'm going to go ahead and cut these boards up with my miter. I'm just using a simple handsaw. You're not always going to get the cut you want, but that's what the Elmer's wood glue is going to be for, if there is any gaps as you put your 45-degree angles together. Now, as I spoke of in some other do-it-yourself facades, you need the 45-degree angle just for stability. If you just put a board on top of a board like this and put L brackets, there's too much give on that. With the 45-degree angle with some Gorilla Glue and the L hinges on top of corner brackets, you'll put corner brackets in between these. There's a lot of stability and whatnot. So I'm going to cut these, and then I'll be right back to show you the final cut. Alright, so we have our first 45-degree angle that I just cut just a few seconds ago. That's what it should look like. And you're probably wondering and asking, well, how do I get that cut on the miter box? So before comments start blowing up, I'll show you. It's very simple. You have a bunch of measurements on the top of your miter box. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. You're going to want to go to the 4 as your piece is in there, and you want to scoot the side of your board that you haven't cut back to about halfway in between the 4 and the 5. Now there'll be 2 really big dashes there that'll be about the halfway point. You want your corner exactly at that. That's the 45-degree angle section. So basically what you'll do is, now once you're done cutting your board, make sure you're cutting it the same on both sides. Now right here it looks like I might have a little bit of sanding to do, or maybe just a little bit of wood filler, because it doesn't look like I got it as straight as I could have, but that's okay, that's easily fixable. So when you're cutting your boards, make sure you don't flip it and then bring it around, because you're not going to be cutting at the same angle as before. So once you're done with your cut, you're simply just end over end bringing the other side over, and then you'll start your cut. I'll go ahead and I'll make this cut right here while you're here. I have this other board right here for more stability. There we go. That looks pretty good. So now we got our 45 on each side. Little idea of what it'll look like is once it's down there. Boom, you got your first piece. Alright, so now we have all of our pieces cut, everything at a 45-degree angle. Went ahead and cleaned up as well, because there's no more cutting, there's no more sawdust. Now what we're doing is piecing everything together. Now you're probably going to want to look at your boards and see how you want to start this off. Like I said, one of these is kind of bent, so I kind of want to position everything right. That way, when I put my L brackets on, everything is scope set. So everything looks good. So what we're going to do now, as you can see, all fit together perfectly. Going to take our square and we're going to get our L brackets out. Now, I already had some L brackets just laying around. I'll show you what they look like. You don't want to get the really, really big ones. Good thing I have this here so I can kind of measure how big. That's what your L bracket wants to look like. Should have 4 screws that come with it. You can buy these in sets of 4 for literally $5. So the measurement on these, they're about 1.5 inches. So that one side is about 1.5 inches. You don't want to get the really, really, really big ones. As you can see in the palm of my hand, they're not that big. But this is where your square comes into play. So get your drill. Make sure you have a really good drill. You don't want one of those cheap plug-in drills. Those are just going to do nothing but cause you problems. So you want to get your screws out for that one L bracket. And my cuts were really good. I'm probably not going to need any wood filler whatsoever. So what you're going to do is L it up. Get everything corner to corner. And once you have that done, take your bracket. Now it doesn't really make a difference where you put it. I usually try and go as center as possible. But if you want to do a little bit lower than that, more towards the outside corner, that might be a good idea, because what you're going to do anyways is once you use these L brackets, you're actually going to use inside brackets on the inside corner. So I'm not going to go as middle. I'm going to try and keep the very outside as tight as possible. Nice and slow. We are nice and tight, and we are nice and even. So I'm going to go ahead, retighten up my square here. I'm going to go ahead and finish off this bracket. And make sure that you take your time. If you want your boards to be perfect, you really got to take your time. You don't want to rush through things. You are going to have a couple mistakes here and there. Your cuts aren't going to be perfect. You're going to, get a little too happy with the drill, and you're going to throw a screw off at an angle. Just take it back out and then redo it. But this square is really going to be your best friend. So I really stress that you use the square all the way around. Now the corner brackets I'm talking about, I don't have any on hand. For this one I do, but it's in my old piece that was really messed up. You want to take your time with those, because those is really what's going to secure and make everything stable. Like these L brackets are great, but still, if I took the one that I just did, and if I were to pull on it too much, right here on this inner corner, it's going to end up coming apart. So that's why it's important to make sure that you pre-drill those holes there for those corner brackets. Same thing, you can get those at Lowe's. They're only, for a set of 4, it's like a few bucks. So you're going to need, if you're doing 5 pieces, you're going to need, 5 of those altogether. But make sure you just take your time on those and do it right. And then once this piece is together, I'll go ahead and show you our finished product. So I'm going to go ahead and put the rest of the L brackets on while using my utility square. This is very, very important. If you don't use this and you just start drilling everything together, by the time you stand it up and you look at it center, it's going to either be to the cock to the side, it's not going to be level. So a level's not that important. This is important all the way around. I use the level only for when I'm putting the hinges on, because I've already got this squared up. So all I'm going to need the level for is when I'm sitting these side by side to drop the level against both of them. Pick how much of a gap that I want in between for where I put the hinges, and that's where the level comes into play to make sure that everything is lined up, because this isn't big enough to go against 2 pieces. So stay tuned and we'll finish this off. Alright, so now you've got one board done. If you want, go ahead and you can just get all boards cut and put together all at one time. I'm doing only one at a time, just so I can focus all my attention on that one board rather than getting ahead of myself, having them all done, and then having to go through each one back and forth, sanding, etc. So I'm only going to do one at a time, which now I'm just showing you how I did the one. Now I've already started painting my other ones, but I left one bare just so I could show you how it turned out. And this was the same exact one that I was cutting previous in the beginning of the video. Now as you can see, it's completely done. 45-degree angles. Once again, like I said, this is 4 feet tall by 2 feet across, 48 inches altogether. You can already tell if this was sitting in front of your table. It's going to give you a lot of coverage height-wise. It's going to hide a lot of your cord. It's going to look very professional. Now once again, when you're putting this together, make sure that you are using Gorilla Glue in the 45-degree angles as you're screwing it together. That is very important, just because you don't want the braces and the corner brackets to be the only thing that's holding your board together. Now I'll give you an example. I'll show you the piece that was broken at that bar gig. Now all of the braces and corner brackets are completely off this. Down here is a little broken off because that's the main part where it was split. But as you can see, with no L brackets and no corner brackets, it's still pretty much together. I would literally have to use some force and snap it apart. So you can see how the Gorilla Glue helps hold it together. So that's the old Facade. Not going to use this Lycra. It did get kind of dirty just because I really wasn't taking as much care of it as I wanted to. A lot of things have been spilled on it. I used to not have that carrying case. If you check out the do-it-yourself carry case, I didn't have that before, so this was just being transported in my car with nothing over top of it. So it did get a little dirty, but you could easily, once finished with the polyurethane, and after a few uses, if you're doing the Lycra, you could take it to your local car washer if you have a power washer at home, and you could just simply lay it on the ground, Aim as close to the light as you can. Try not to get the wood wet, but you can go ahead and spray that down. Now, so we are completely done with your main board. Like I said, just try and do one at a time, focus on that. I did a very good job of not having really any gaps right here, so I might not even have to use wood filler. The thing that sucks about wood filler is it's not going to give you the same look as the actual wood itself. So if you're going to use it, make sure you use the right amount and don't overdo it, and make sure you're really getting it sanded down, because it won't give you the same look as the original board. It'll be a lot flatter. There won't be any of the growth or swirl marks. So if you get close enough, you'll be able to tell, like, hey, that's not a piece of the board. But as long as you're just using a little bit and you're really sanding it down, use about 180 grit, 220, whatever. Don't put a huge clump on there. You're going to sand for hours. So we're done. Once again, make sure you use your L braces up here in the corner. Try and get them not center, maybe a little bit down further, because you're also going to use those corner brackets. I don't know if you can see right here, there's a corner bracket right there, and that is just, these things, good luck breaking this one. But what I'm also going to do though, is I'm also going to do, this is a little trick that most people aren't doing. I'm going to put L brackets or L braces on this side as well. I'm going to paint them black before I put them on, but that's going to be the last step. I'm going to polyurethane this before those go on. That way I don't have to polyurethane over top or paint over top of them. I'm just going to spray paint those with a semi-gloss spray paint, and I'm going to screw some on here on this side. It won't be too noticeable, even if they are. It actually might even give it a little bit more of a flashy look, kind of a retro look. But I'm going to do that as well, just because I've noticed on this corner right here, that bent board, it is still kind of wanting to pop out. But if I put another L brace there and tighten that down, it's going to line up just perfect. So on to the next step, which is going to be your paint and polyurethane. Not really going to show you how to do that. It's pretty simple. So we'll go ahead and turn this around, and we'll show you what I mean. So by now you should be moving on to the paint process. What I've done here is I've just taken my flight table, since it sits high enough, took a couple pieces of cardboard, and I've kind of laid my pieces on top. This is my first finished painted piece. All I'm using is simply go to Lowe's, and you can get this 1 quart of black, which will do 20 pieces of facade. So you'll have some left over just in case you run into an issue and you got to repaint another one or build another one. $9.99, so not too expensive. It's a semi-gloss as well. Not really going for the expensive paint. It is latex, by the way, just in case you want to know. Once you're done painting, I recommend just a normal 2-inch brush. When you're painting the facade, you don't need too big of a brush. They cost more money. Make sure you get a good brush though, and also make sure that you're not just using an old one that was laying around the house. Buy a new brush. Sometimes old brushes are real crusty. You're going to get a really bad streaky look to when you're painting. After you're done painting, I recommend doing 2 to 3 coats of paint, just so you make sure that you got enough coverage. Make sure that you're checking this in the light too. As soon as you're done painting and you think you're complete, make sure you take this to a lit area and make sure that you actually painted everything. I know sometimes, I live in Ohio, so it's winter time. I can't go outside and paint these, and I can't go in the garage. It's too cold. So I'm doing it down here. I have enough light during the day, but sometimes you give these things a couple hours to dry, and you keep moving on to a new coat, and by next thing you know, it's dark outside. I can't really tell where I painted and where I haven't. So it's a good thing either do this during the day, or if you live in California. All right, so next step, it's very simple, guys. You're just going to take your fast drying polyurethane. This is about $11.98, maybe a little bit more at Lowe's. Very simple. You're going to take a nylon brush. For this, I'm going to recommend a 3-inch brush. reason being for that is you don't want to use like a 2-inch. Say I were painting, 2 inches is only going to cover so much before I have to scoot over. With a 3-inch, you simply are just going to dip, wipe it off a little bit. You don't want too much excess, and you're simply just going to stroke straight down the facade. You don't want to go like this with polyurethane, because it's literally going to show that you did that. You just want to do nice, clean, straight strokes. If you see any kind of bubbles start to form, etc., just go over it one more time until you don't see those bubbles again. They'll pop. Make sure you're using a nice nylon brush for this. Make sure you're cleaning your brush in between, doing your other pieces, because the polyurethane will start to dry. But you're simply just going to go around the whole facade. Now, you only really got to do these outside pieces. Those are the ones that are going to come in most contact with other things. If you want to do the inside, by all means go ahead. You're going to need to let this dry for about 2 to 4 hours. You'll be able to tell once it's dry. It just really depends on climate and where you're at. 2 to 4 hours, you're going to come back. I recommend getting one of these 3M 220 fine sander blocks. They're about $4. They last up to 5 times longer than normal sandpaper. You're simply going to take the 220 to the facade. You're going to sand it down, and then you're going to remove all the excess dust, etc. Make sure you're using a microfiber cloth, or you can even use some kind of mineral spirit to wipe it off with. From there, you're going to recoat until satisfied. If you want to do 2 to 4 coats, that's completely up to you. But I recommend at least doing 2, and you'll be able to tell the difference. It'll be a lot more stronger, a lot more durable. It won't scratch as easy. It won't dent as easy. It's pretty much like a fiberglass, but not really. So that's what you'll do. And from there, it's very simple, fellas. You're just going to lay out your facade on the ground. Make sure you're using your square and a level for all of your boards. From there, you're going to put your removable hinges in. I recommend doing the hinges as close to corner as possible. If you do them too much in the middle, too close to each other, just imagine it bending and those just snapping right off. So make sure you're doing them at the lowest and highest point. You don't have to do them too high, but make sure they're all at the same point. You don't want your hinges on each one of your facade pieces to be different hinge points. Make sure they're all at one point, and from there you're ready to lycra. As soon as it's together, just remove the pins from the hinges. You're going to lay this flat onto a carpet surface. You can do it one or two ways. You can take Velcro and sew the Velcro onto the lycra, and then you can do it like that. That way you can take it off and wash it. I don't recommend that because you have to spend the time sewing it onto the Velcro, etc. So I recommend just stapling it on. Like I said, if you need to clean it, you can get some Resolve. You can power wash it up close to remove any stains. It's just like a swimming suit, spandex. It doesn't trap dirt. It's very thin. It's very translucent. So if you do see a spot, some Resolve works. If you can't really bleach it, so don't do that, but Resolve or a carpet cleaner or something like that should do the trick. From there, you're ready to go. If you haven't seen any of my previous videos, a lot of people don't like them. I don't understand why, but if you check out the L.E.Ds, they're called Cyrons. They're from Lowe's. They're 4-packs, and then you can even buy an expansion pack for them. They change to every other color or normal watch they can. You think of a Megapar or an L.E.D bar, those things are about 99 plus per one, and they're not going to give you the complete coverage you need. So those L.E.Ds have done really well for me. If you check out some of my photos, videos on my website, once those things are in sound and active mode, they really make the facade stand out. They really pulsate with color. When they're on standalone mode and so you have them set to blue, it's not going to give you like the absolute greatest glow if you're in a well lit area. Now once the lights are off, you know, it can be a standalone and your whole booth will be whatever color you want. I recommend getting those. They're $49.99. Don't forget to check around, get a movers pack, sign up for that online through Lowe's. They'll send you like a 10 to 15% off coupon, or jump on eBay and buy a coupon off somebody for like 99 cents and they'll ship it to you overnight. That way you can get a discount on all these materials. All in all, if you do everything I told you to do, you're looking at about 80 to 100 bucks. Joann Fabrics is where I get the Lycra. I do have to go back this week and get some more. They're always running 40% off regular price items. Lycra is always going to be a regular price item. It's usually about 9 foot a yard, or $9 a yard, I'm sorry. From there, I mean, you figure you're going to only need so many yards, so I think about 5 yards will do you good because that stretches out pretty well. So $5, you knock it down to about $4.50. You've got your Lycra for about 25 bucks. And you do the math. I mean, just in the materials, if you already own the square, the miter box and whatnot, this is literally, or you can borrow this stuff. This is literally just for the wood and hardware is only like 50 bucks. So it's not too bad at all. So if you have any questions, make sure you email me. I'm just going to conclude the video here. There's no sense in trying to show you how to put the hinges on. You're going to do it the way you want to do it anyways. So just follow these details as close as possible. There's pictures at the beginning of the video of some of the hardware you need and a list of what you should need. Other than that, there's plenty of other videos out there. Check those out too. I'm sure someone might have a better way to do it. This is the cheapest and best way to do it because I'm showing you how to do it the right way, get the strength and durability you need and the professional look. I did not cut corners at all during the process of making this facade. A lot of people do. A lot of people need it in a hurry. They don't, a lot of people aren't into construction. So have any questions, put them in the comment box. Once again, all you haters out there, care less what you think. I'm doing what I got to do to make money, and I'm pretty damn good at it. So have a great day, and till next time. As soon as it gets here, I'm going to be doing a review, the only review so far on online period of the Gator case with the DJ arm. It's for my NS6. I'm going to be doing something on that. My birthday's in a few days, so I'm getting that for my birthday, and it's going to be a pretty sweet case. So stay tuned for that. See you later.